Welcome back, robotics students. Here we go. We are doing another video. We're going to work on variables real fast today. We're going to see variables and functions. It's going to be nice and easy. Let's open up something really complicated here. Let's look at something wild and just see what's going on. Wait for it to load. So variables are really good places. It's literally an X or Y in math. You're going to store information or store data in a variable just the same way you would in math. It changes, it updates, you keep reading it. It could be anything from the value of something physical where you push this and it gives you a variable back, or something on the robot. If it runs into the wall and you've got a sensor out there, or how far it is from a wall. Those sensors on the robots, you can save those as variables, or you can save other things as variables. So a couple things. We've got a giant program here from over the summer that somebody was working on. Maybe me, maybe not. All right. Several things are going on here. But let's zoom in over here. A little farther. All right. Set world X to 0, set world Y to 0, set world theta to 0, set this to 13.5. Those are all variables, every single one. Those are created and those are initialized. Those are set up front. Later in the program, there are variables that are being used to update, and there are variables that update other variables. You can make this really complicated and loop it in, but we're going to go ahead and not worry about that. We're going to start with something blank, and we're just going to create some variables. So we're going to create a new op mode. We're not going to use a sample this time. This is just going to be test. All right, we're going to create that. Blank page loads up. And there we go. We can hide that job. This just reminds you that when you hit start, let's play initialize, that's what's going to happen. We can make this teleop, or we can make it autonomous, okay? So here we go. Wait for start. If the op mode is active, do all this stuff. I'm going to come down here to variables, and I'm going to create a variable. And this is going to be count. Let's spell. So count. And all of a sudden, as soon as I hit enter, I've got three things that popped up. Set count to. This is where you set the variable. So up here in initialize, set count, and I'm going to go into my math, and I'm going to have count equal 0. Awesome. Done. So the variable count now equals 0. Later in the program, I want to do something. So let's go into logic. Let's go to if. You can put this wherever. If. And we're going to do something real simple. The gamepad. If gamepad 1, button A. If gamepad 1, button A, variable. I could do this two different ways. This one's kind of the easiest. It's already set. I can just change count by 1. That means add 1. Increment count. The other thing I could do would be set count to math. And then we would go to variables, count plus 1. This says x equals x plus 1. That's not okay. This sets it. It doesn't really say equals. It says look in the program and see what count is right now, add 1, and then make that the new variable. Computers read left to right in that way. When you say set something to, then it's going to do all of this, and then it's going to reset. It doesn't say 0 equals 0 plus 1. Okay? It says make the variable, make x plus 1. This is the way that you would do it by hand, but every now and then they already have nice clean functions built in. This does the exact same thing. It changes the variable count by 1. If you want to rename the variable, you do it from inside here. All right. And then telemetry update. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to get our telemetry. we are going to add data. We'll put it right here. We're going to scroll down here. We're going to see what is the count. And instead of this number, we're going to put our variable right there. And it clicked in. We're going to save that. All right. Everything looks good. Okay, so here we go. We're going to keep going. Everything looks the same. I've got my controller now right here. And I've got the driver station. So all we have to do is see what happens when I hit A. We're going to come over here. We're going to drop this down. We're going to select test. Bring this in front of the computer here. All right, we're going to select test. Now we can see what's going on. All right, test is ready. We're going to initialize, and we're going to hit play. Down at the bottom, you could see what is the count. And I'm going to go over here, and I'm just going to tap A. Something really important. Look at the top up here. There's nothing going on. If I want to be controller 1, I go to the controller, and I hold down start, and I tap A. If I want to be controller 2, I go to the controller, and I hit start B. So right now, I'm going to hit start A. And it worked 10 seconds ago. Wait a minute. We're back. We've had a weird technical thing here. This cable is starting to break, and it's disconnecting every time I unwrap it. Every time I rewrap it, it's reconnecting. That's kind of unusual. So we're going to make this short and sweet here. We're going to come back over here. We're going to select test. Test is ready. We're going to hit initialize. We're going to hit play. Down at the bottom, it says, what's the count? And over here, what I was saying a minute ago, at the very top, there's a controller. This program is running right now. And you should see that kind of flash green for a second. If I want to be player 1, I'm going to hit start A. If I want to be player 2, I'm going to hit start B. But now I haven't done anything. So now that's how you select which controller is which. I haven't done anything. I'm going to tap A and see what happens. A. 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 Double tap. Single tap. Count's going up, but it's not going up by 1. It kind of is, because this says if gamepad A is pressed. It didn't say for every time it was pressed. It said if it was pressed, meaning if gamepad A is pressed, go up 1. This loop is going through hundreds of times per second. So even if you just tap it, you need to go, it's going to do that once, okay? So there are ways to change that in your program. You don't want a button that does it to go forever and ever. We'll get to that. But that's a simple variable, okay? And it works, and you've also seen a couple of ways how to connect the controller. We'll get a better controller next time. You've seen some other things. The other thing we were going to look at today is a function, okay? So let's take this out of here. Be careful because it grabs everything below where you're grabbing. So a function. If I want to do something, maybe I've got something really complicated, something complex. Okay, to do complex, well, maybe I do a whole bunch of stuff over here when I hit A, right? And this gets so long and so ugly, or every time, it's like it's a sub-program. It's a function. Okay, so now I would come over here and I would just say complex. And when I put this into here, the program's going to run down, 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 block, block. And when we get it to complex, it's going to stop for a second. It's going to break out and it's going to execute everything in this function. And then it's going to go back. A couple things you may have noticed. If you want to return a variable, all right, if you want to return a value with the function, you would use this version. This is something else. You can run other op modes. You can do all sorts of other things in functions. Okay? So this is actually very simple, but it will call what's going over here. The first program we loaded this to at the beginning of the video had 5 different functions that it would call. And it would go, if you're going to do something over and over and over and over and over, make that a function and then just call that function. It will clean this up. It aesthetically looks better. It's more readable, but it's just easier than copy and pasting the code all the time and trying to then find one spot where you've got an error. Okay? Because if this works the first time, it's going to work every time. And so if you copy it over as a function, those are good little tips. That's how you use functions. That's how you use variables. All right, we'll move on to the next video.